Hi, this is Peyton with Girls Gone Right, and we have my very own father with us today, the man who raised me. You guys have been asking a lot of questions about how to raise a daughter and give you all the advice. You've been asking me, and I can't personally give you advice, but I know that my dad can. Okay, so you guys put it in the community channel, any questions that you guys have for him, so we're gonna go over it. Are you ready to give some people some dad advice? Classic dad advice.
I will do my best.
So we'll do some ballpark easy questions.
Okay.
What's the best part about being a dad?
Being a dad, just seeing your kids grow up, seeing what they turn into. So.
Yeah, you've known me 26 years.
It's amazing.
That's a long time.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
The first one.
Sorry, folks. I'm a crier. What can I say? No, really, just watching you grow up and turn into the person you are.
Yeah, I think.
And just say that I actually had a part of it. That's the best part.
Oh, well, I think you've done a fantastic job.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. And I don't know, I think it's just, you've been one of the biggest role models, and you've made such an impression in my life. And when people ask me, where do I get my work ethic and those hard qualities from, I think I always look to you.
Good, Emma. Thank you.
Yeah. You and Pippi. You guys, I've spoken about my Pippi before, my dad's dad. I think you guys have the strong values and morals. Pippi always spoke highly of family and how much it meant to him, and how much it meant to him to be be a good person, be someone that your family can rely on.
That's true. And a lot of what I've learned is from them. So, I mean, we're a product of our environment, and all both my brothers say the same thing. All three of us are
menaces.
No, well, we're menaces, but we're menaces in a good way.
Yeah.
We cause heartache not heartache. We cause grief or maybe heartburn for our wives. But I mean, we all mean well. We have good intentions, and family's everything to all.
You guys love
all
hard.
of us. Yes, we
love
do.
very hard.
Yes, we do.
And I think it shows, especially Andre and JP. You guys are, JP gets worked up over things that he loves so much because it's like family, and you have to protect that. And I think that's something that Pippi instilled in everyone, was family first. Family's everything. You do things to protect your family, like how close the family unit should be. And I think that's something that we're lacking in today's society, is people have lost the meaning of what it's like to have family. I think especially in today's age, it's very normal for someone to just graduate, move out to California, go work, and never really come back and be with their family. And and it's okay to do that sometimes, but I think it's to the point where people don't have family anymore.
They don't have the tight connections like we did 2 generations ago.
Yeah, everyone lives in the same neighborhood. Everyone was spending their weekends with their family. Yeah. I don't think that's the norm anymore, because people live in different cities, and when they go back home, their family's so spread apart.
Yeah, I mean,
it's unique to have a family that's so close first of all, that's close physically, they all live in the same location, and that they're that tight knit.
Yeah, I would say, going back to when I was a child, family was everything. We did everything as a family. Both sides, my mom's side, my dad's side. We had family reunions, we had family vacations, and we raised you that way. But hopefully you can bring that on. But again, we've moved away.
Yeah.
So, and again, I moved away when I was younger for several years, but I moved back and then moved away again. So, but again, if you have a strong family, going away is just a distance.
Yeah.
It's not a gap. You still should be connecting.
Yeah.
So.
I think we do that when we see our family. When we come back into town, it's like you haven't missed anything. Right. It feels like there's no time passed.
Right. I mean, that's one thing. We're very good at texting and phone calls.
Yeah.
Just to keep in contact with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, our family's very good at checking in and the phone calls, and growing up we always had the family vacations. I think that's something that when I look back on, childhood years. I look back and I have all these family photos of us going camping or going to Disney World. And I think it's those things that establish those values at a young age that maybe is missing in today's culture.
I agree. I mean,
when you're living behind an iPad or TV and you don't really get to have that really close family time and those big memories, because those are milestones and things that you're always going to remember. They are, I forgot what they call them, but they're just like forever, like the memories that you will never forget growing up, that you look back on and that you're fond of. I feel like that maybe that's missing because people don't implement how strong and important family should be.
No, I agree. And I mean, I always tell you, one of the best family vacation memories is what?
Was it Niagara Falls?
Niagara Falls is one of them.
For me, because I didn't have to walk.
But I'm talking about Disney World.
Oh, okay.
And you were sitting on my shoulders watching the parade and just squeezing my head as hard as you could. Dad, this is the best day of my life. I love this. I love you. And, sorry.
No, I love that. And I do remember those trips.
And that was when you were 4 years old.
Yeah.
So.
And I remember every Disney World trip, I look back and it's just, I don't know, I think you remember the time there, but like you also remember the little things, like road tripping with your family and like being close with family and being under the same roof and getting to share those things. So I think that's something that's super important, and that's something that when we look at culture today, that's something that we shouldn't stray away from.
Right.
Because we don't need family. Because who needs that anymore? I'm going to live in my own city, do my own thing, go on vacations by myself. And like that's, it's great to be independent and have your own friends and have your own things going on. But at the same time, you can't pull away from what rooted you.
Correct.
You can't pull away from like the community that you were born with, and if you don't have family, you have people you should have people that are like family to you.
Exactly. I mean, family is not just blood. Family is someone that
it's community.
Community. It's the people you can go to when you have a problem. You know they got your back.
Yeah.
Moving here after 9 years of living in Charlotte. We have developed a very close friends group.
And it feels like family.
And they feel like family.
To me too.
Yeah.
Like I know them like they're family to me.
Right. Yes. So.
Because you surround yourself with them, you make them a priority.
Right. Exactly. And they know that if they call you, or if you call them, they have your back.
Yeah.
And that is just, to me, that is just important as my blood family, are my family here in Charlotte.
Yeah. And how especially when you get older, how do you find friends that are going to be lifelong friends like that?
Well, like I said, the first time when I moved to Charlotte, my wife and I, we knew no one. So we went out and purposefully went and found like-minded people. One of our first things was my wife's a big Parrot Head, so we went to the Charlotte Parrot Head Club, first meeting, and ever since then we've got there's 6 to 8 people from that core group from that first meeting that we went to that we still hang out with on a maybe not a weekly basis, but a monthly basis. So, and we text, we call. I mean, to me, that's where we started our group.
Yeah.
And then expand. You have to be comfortable of who you are, and don't be afraid to go out and put yourself out there and go to a meetup group. I mean, I know it's scary for people that are maybe a little introverted, but you reap the rewards if you can connect and make those connections with people that you can call on and rely on when you're having a bad day or when you're having a good day. You always want to share your grief or your joy. It's important.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of the people, even they blame it on being introverted, but even introverts need friends. Just because you're introverted doesn't mean that you're okay with sitting inside all the time. Like, that's lonely, and it's human to need someone. You need friends, you need community. And I think when you have that, it makes life better. Like you said, when you're going through something in your life, you're going through a breakup or, a rough time with your career, you're just
health
lost.
Issues.
Yeah, like you want to be able to call someone up and have someone there for you. And I think it's a two-way street, right? Like, to have good friends, you need to be a good friend.
Right.
And so, like, that's how you establish a good community, I think, is too, like, making sure that not only are you asking for a good friendship, but you're going above and beyond to be a good friend.
And I will add to that. You mentioned to be a good friend, you have to be a good friend.
Or to have a good friend.
You have to be a good friend. I'm sorry. please understand that, I have friends that go back to I'm 5 years old, and I still talk to, still hang out with. So 50-year friendships. But I also know that I had to lose friends along that way, because we all change. We have different times in our lives where friendship means something different, and they have different philosophies than what we have. So there's sometimes you have to cut friends out of your life, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't make you a bad friend. It just means that maybe you don't see eye to eye anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe communicate with them on a irregular basis, and just to keep that line of communication open. Because again, I don't care how old you are or how rich you are. If you don't have friendship, you don't have much. You just have yourself, and that's a lonely place to be.
Well, yeah, it is very lonely. I think everyone needs to have their good community. Life is so much easier when you have someone to share the good moments with, your extra time with. And I think, again, people lack family these days. People lack community because they're so stuck behind the screen. They find themselves stuck in excuses like, oh, well, I'm just not good with people, or it makes me uncomfortable. But when a lot of good things in life will make you uncomfortable. Yeah. And that's something to recognize and move past, because if you can't get out of your comfortability,
you're not going to grow.
You're not going to be able to expand your life and have the experiences that you want, because unfortunately there's going to be a wall, a barrier of trying new things and being uncomfortable, and that's an important thing to just power through.
Yeah. And again, I talked about meetup groups. Church is a very good place to meet people, especially when you're looking for somebody of like-minded people that share your belief systems, or your moral compass, so to speak.
And you guys do pickleball. That's there's church. We got
pickleball. Yeah.
Yeah, you have like the Parrot Head group, pickleball. Like there's so many things. There's no way to have an excuse, because there's so many things that you can get out and go do that are so accessible to everyone, that just stumbling across an event. I hosted an event Sunday, the Girls Gone Right conservative social event, and we had all different ages show up. And it was just people that I've never even met before, that don't even follow Girls Gone Right. They just saw it online that I was having an event, and they just came by themselves. They showed up not knowing anyone. Some people drove hours for this event. Some people flew in, and I imagine that's very uncomfortable to just walk into an event and you don't know what it's going to be like. You have no idea, and you just go anyways.
Well, and to there just shows to you how many people are still trying to make connections with people.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's important, and put yourself out there. The worst thing that can happen is that maybe you wasted a couple hours of your day, but keep on trying. Well, at some point you're going to meet people, and you're going to make those ties.
Yep. Okay, now we are moving on to the Q&A portion. So these are questions from the subscribers. So from you guys left questions for my dad. Some of you guys want some father advice. So here we go. Are you nervous?
Of course. And please understand, my situation in my life is how I'm going to answer this. So I might not be the most politically correct answer, but I apologize. All I'm trying to do is give you my opinion and how I dealt with situations.
Yep. Okay, first one. We're getting into the thick of it. What was it like raising a feminist, and what was your reaction when she went back to the right? So this is a bit of a gray area, because college, I think, was just.
Well, I think college was your first time being on your own.
Yeah.
Because you moved, you were sort of at home, but then you went to college, and you got into the apartment life and started. I will say you started getting your own voice.
Yeah.
Not that I liked it, but
I found it.
You found your voice, and you were very boisterous about it. You had lots of opinions, and I let you have your opinions. And what I try to do is, okay, if you gave me an opinion, I tried to counter it with, well, honey, this is how I raised you. But I wanted you to hear. I wanted you to become your own person and learn and go through the trials and tribulations of it being a young adult, because that's what college is about. So, and being a young adult is about, because you can't live in under my shadow. You had to go out and explore and and grow.
Was it noticeable that I was like beginning to swerve to be a liberal, like liberal values?
Yeah. Well, yes. And it was scary because I was seeing you making choices that could hurt you. The last thing I wanted you to do is get hurt in your exploration of becoming who you want to be.
Yeah.
So.
And it was from a good place. I think at the time, I was very stubborn. This episode is sponsored by Shoot 270 Indoor Ranges at the Glock store. Before I left Nashville, I had a chance to stop by their indoor range, and guys, this is like something I have never seen before. Their private shooting rooms let you shoot at multiple targets in multiple directions, just like you might have to in a real life situation. You can draw from concealment holsters, which I do typically when training, and you can also use lasers, flashlights, in a low light setting and shoot from cover or on the move. You can shoot with full auto or with a suppressor, something that you can never do in a normal lane range. And let's be honest, shooting lanes are boring. This is real life training. So basically, if you want to train like your life depends on it, go check out these Shoot 270 indoor ranges at the Glock store in Nashville. So bring your friends, family, coworker, or maybe even a hinge date. It's a ton of fun, and I can't wait to visit the next time I'm back in Nashville. What is his advice for young men to navigate this increasingly decadent world?
Know yourself. Know what you want out of life, what your goals are, and then even what you want your future wife or partner to be. What do you want from them? What do you look for? And make sure that you don't cheat yourself. Make sure that you don't rush in, because we all know how rushing in works or doesn't work for people. So I'm a very big proponent of, you don't know somebody for at least 1 to 2 years into a relationship. You don't know everything. You don't know their different sides of their personality. You don't know how they deal with challenges.
Yeah.
Or
their ups
failures.
And downs. Yeah.
Yes. And if you don't know how somebody deals with their ups and downs with everyday life, how do you want them to be your partner forever?
Like, what happens when they're going through grief?
Exactly.
How do they deal with grief? Do they turn to alcohol? Do they turn to God?
Right. Correct. Or substance abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to know what their character is and how well they stand up to challenge. So don't pick the easy, the what I call the low fruit.
The low hanging fruit.
Yes, you want to reach up high.
Yeah.
Because that's when you get somebody that will live up to your expectations, to your boxes, then you'll get rewarded.
Yeah.
And that's and again, marriage is a hard thing to do. It is not for the weak. I know we make it so easy to be disposable. Marriages are disposable, and again, you come from a broken family, so to speak. So, but we made the best of it.
Yeah.
And just because you come from a divorced family is not an excuse to not set expectations high, because then what you saw what your parents went through.
Yeah.
So you knew what you don't want to go through.
Yeah.
So again, it sort of gave you a bar. Set the bar high, and you'll be successful.
I think, and a lot of my subscribers, they think when I talk about marriage, because I do respect it, I want to believe that I will only get married once, and it's one and done. I want to marry the right person. I'm not going to settle, and I have high expectations, and I value marriage. I think that's one of the most beautiful things. And when I talk about it, the subscribers are like, oh, well, your parents must come from a perfect marriage, so it's easy for you to say. But that's not true at all. My parents are divorced, and I think even more so, like, you don't, just because you're not your parents. I think that's something that you have to separate too. If your parents are divorced, if your parents didn't have a strong marriage growing up and that's what you saw, just because that doesn't mean that, because you saw that, it doesn't mean that you should have a low expectation for marriage, or you don't want that for yourself because you saw what it did to them. I think that you can even have a more so greater appreciation for finding the right person, so you can do the opposite.
Right. Because again, I know as a parent, only thing I could ask for you is to be better to be a better version of who I was, or of who I am. So, I mean, strive for that. Try to be better than what your parents were or are for you. I mean, and if they're sorry parents, but if you're the best, A+ parent, hopefully they can improve on that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's all you can do is go up.
Yep. I think also for men, some advice for them is know yourself, know what you want, but also know yourself, because I'm seeing a lot of men, especially dating in my, being 26 years old and seeing men close to their 30s or in their 30s, they don't know who they are and they're struggling to find themselves, and it's self-sabotaging any relationships that they have, because they get into relationships or they're out dating. You'll go on a date and they're like, oh, well, I'm not ready for a relationship, and they're 33 years old or something like that.
Why are you out on a date?
Yeah, why are you on a date? And you shouldn't be in your 30s. And young men, sure, young men can be meant for war, but when you get to close to 30 or you're in your 30s, you should know who you are. And if you didn't put time into doing that in your 20s, that's a huge problem. And I think that's something that is going to ultimately hurt you later in life. When you don't know who you are, it's going to hit you now, or it's going to hit you later.
Well, and again, watching the generations come up behind me, and watching the what we call children turning into adults, a lot of it has to deal with they weren't cultivating any of this when they were younger. I mean, like my parents were very, very involved in my life. They were involved in scouts. They were involved in school. I mean, they made sure that they knew exactly what I was doing or what I was participating in. And they put me out there. They made me do things that put me out of my comfort zone, so I could learn and develop who I was as a kid to who I am now. Yeah. And I think we need to start. I wish we had more ways for younger generations to develop that.
Yeah.
Again, parents that are going through this right now, I'm not criticizing. I'm just making observations that I think that as a society that we can improve on how we raise our children, and how we raise our children into better men and women.
Yeah. I mean, be as involved as you can, and sometimes that requires sacrifice. I mean, sometimes if maybe you're not able to do the things that you want to do, like maybe you're not going to have that much extracurriculars for yourself, and maybe that's going to take some sacrifices within your household to show up in your kids' life the way that they need.
And I will say though, and again, this is where your friendship community. You need to, and again, I traveled a lot for work when you were growing up, but we had my friends, we had parents, we had your mother's side of the family helping.
Yeah.
I mean, we made sure that you
it takes a village.
Your sister did not have to suffer and not participate in things that they wanted to participate in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, I mean, at least growing up, I mean, I think it really does take a village. Like you said, you need community. There's going to be times where, you know what, if you have to work and there's something that you have to do and you're not going to be able to pick your kid up from school that day and you need to call a friend. I mean, I've had close family friends be there. So I think that's why it's really important to make community now, because the friends that you are making in your early 20s, hopefully you're going to be raising a family with them in your 30s.
Well, yeah, again, I'm sure that when you want to have children, are ready to have children, you're going to want friends to have children of that same age, so they can grow up together.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with a couple of my cousins that we were very close with.
Yeah.
And I grew up with friends, neighbors that we went on trips together. That's again, community.
Yep.
We all did it together.
Yep. Okay, thoughts, advice on when to have kids.
I know you don't like my opinion on this because you believe that you're ready now.
I mean, I'm 26. That's some would say I'm getting close to my prime.
Okay, I understand that.
Do you think it's an age thing, or do you think it's...
I think it's a maturity thing.
Okay.
Because I will tell you, I know people that in their early 20s that are very mature, have a very solid foundation of a marriage. Yes, bring the children on. Start raising your children. Start that family young. But right, I see that as an exception more than the rule.
Yeah.
So I think that children are an important part of marriage. If that's what you want, be prepared to sacrifice. And again, I don't think it should be right within your first year of marriage. If you're getting married, go enjoy each other. I mean, yes, you had your 2-year engagement process and you got married, but once you're married, it changes. I mean, they say it doesn't change anything; it's just a piece of paper, but it does change. You're permanent, and go enjoy each other. Go do things before children come into the picture. Because you might not have the financial funds to do that later.
Yeah.
And if you do, more power to you. I'm glad. Please enjoy your children and do things with them.
No, I think that's important. Is a lot of the times people skip through all of that, and then later in life the divorce hits of like feeling like you don't know how to connect with each other. Yeah, like
you had kids too young. I missed out on this. I missed out on that. Or like you say, you didn't connect with the spouse. The connection with the spouse was all superficial, and they put a child into the mix, thinking that it would fix something.
You can't bond just over children.
No, you cannot.
It's not a Band-Aid. It's not, I mean, it's a great way to connect on top of actually being able to connect with someone, but I think you need to establish the strong connection, and then a child is going to be something that you bond over for the rest of your life.
Yes.
But you need to do the actual foundation work first. And I think, like, a lot of the times, too, like, you see these kids getting older, and that's when people realize they have a marital problem, is when the kids they don't require as much hands-on time.
And you have more time with your spouse.
And then you realize, oh, well, what do we bond? What do we have in common? What are we doing?
Yeah, that empty nest syndrome. And that does happen. You have to work on it. You have to cultivate. I mean, I know that's a cliche, but marriage is like a garden. If you don't water it and feed it, it's going to die. And just having children is not everything that can't be your sole focus, because after 18, 19, 20 years old, you guys as a married couple have years to be together. And you want to make sure that you have something to continue to build on. So don't forget date nights. Date nights are important.
Yeah. Finding things in common.
Yes.
Hobbies. So, did you know your princess had become brainwashed in college or university with the feminism, leftist propaganda? If so, what would you have done differently in retrospect as a dad to avoid or maybe reduce that happening? Is there anything that you would do differently?
No, I think I helped raise you to where my belief systems were well instilled into you. We are going to church, and you participated in that with me as we grew up, and I think I just had to let you figure it out. And I will tell you that the first day you got your real job and you got your first paycheck, I think that was an eye opener for you.
Yeah.
I mean, and
taxes,
and you want to know where it all went and what did it serve.
Yeah.
So, and again, there's nothing wrong with being a feminist, but understanding all that goes into that, and in making sure that you understand.
Yeah.
Don't be a sheep.
Yeah, don't get on the bandwagon just because everyone else is doing it.
Correct.
And I think you did it right, because I'm very stubborn and hard-headed. I like to figure things out on my own.
Yeah. You like your own.
Yes.
You want your own opinions and your own beliefs.
Yes, I like to find out things myself, and if that takes me failing, then I would rather do that myself. I'm very much so, like, even if I'm doing something, like, I don't want to accept help, because I would rather do it myself, and then if it fails, I'll ask for help. But then I learn. I like to learn things on my own. And you would always say that too, like, oh, well, I'm like, well, let me learn it myself. I want to figure if that's the advice that you want, well, I want to find it out for myself. And I think, that's how raising kids is unfortunately, you can make a lot of mistakes in your life, and you can tell your kids about them, and they're not going to care, because to them, it's like they need that experience. They need that. And they will remember it a lot more clearly when it's their own memory, and it's like their own bad experience or something happened. Like, they learn that all on their own, and then that will implement their life decisions in the future.
Yeah, let them fail. Let them pick themselves up. We'll say, dust, brush the dust off, and they're, like you said, they're going to learn more. They're going to remember that, and they're going to appreciate it. But instead of being spoon fed everything that that us as parents want our children to believe, or want them to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you give them enough information to let them decide how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think especially like in college and just like early 20s, I failed a lot. I've fallen down a lot of times, and I think each time though I've never like not gotten up. I've never it's never gotten me down. Like I failed, and then it's just on to the next. Get back up and try it and keep going.
I will say that's true. I was very impressed with some of the failures that you've bounced back from, and how you dealt with it. So, because some people, you didn't fall apart. Mm-hmm. It might have hurt you, but you recovered quickly, and you moved on and fixed it.
Yep.
So
yeah, I think I made mistakes, and especially looking back now, that I'm very different from the person that I was in college, and being able to see that. But I'm glad that I did that, because I think it's made me exactly who I am today. All of those experiences and everything that I went through, I look at the world differently. And I think that is important, because when you don't have that character built, and maybe that's where things are flawed nowadays, is everyone's spoon-fed, their parents are paying for everything, they get to do whatever they want. Like, they're kind of sheltered, almost. Like, they don't get to do things on their own because it's just they don't have to. So I think when you have to like go through motions on your own and make these life choices, and you're going to fail and you're going to succeed and you're going to change and reflect and grow and all these things, you become like, you have so much character, and that changes your life decisions. When you have all of this character and you failed, you have all these experiences, I think it kind of changes the trajectory of your life, and you know how to make better choices because of it.
Okay, so I have a question. Mm-hmm. So I didn't make you, but I encouraged you to work from the time you were 15 years old.
Yes.
And you've done a great job. You've worked all through high school. You worked your butt off in college, and multiple jobs.
Yep.
Do you I don't want to say regret, or do you hold? How do you feel? Were you upset about me making? I'm not saying I made you work, but I encouraged you to work.
I think that like in the time there was like a lot of things like you have to sacrifice. Like, I wasn't able to like do all the things that my friends were doing in college, because I had a job. And I think in the moment I was like, oh dang, that like must be nice to like just do whatever you want and not have to have that responsibility on top of school. But I think at the same time, I worked a lot harder in school. Mm-hmm. I had work ethic built at an early age, and I think I see that in my career right now. Is a lot of the things that I get complimented on is my work ethic, that I do work very hard, I don't ever give up. And like, especially doing Girls Gone Right, like I've been doing this for almost 3 years, I've never given up, and I've never dropped the ball. But I think all of that is because like I started working at an early age, and like it made me take pride in my work no matter what I was doing. I mean, from working at Bob Evans, that was my first job, to babysitting, to like doing internships, working in an animal hospital. Like, I took pride in my work, in being able to go above and beyond in my job. And
so I can take credit for who you are today.
You can have credit on that.
Okay, I think, thanks.
And even in my work today, I think it's really important. Like, I look back and I'm proud, because I paid for a lot of my school, and I don't have debt. I paid all of that off. I worked really hard, and and a lot of my friends still have their student loan debt. And I think that's something like I wanted to pay it off because I paid for that school. I value my education. I think I would go back to school. And I know that's controversial, because people say that you don't need a college degree anymore, but I am so glad that I went to college. Indoctrinated or not, being a liberal in college or not, I look back and I think no matter what, it gives you, there's something valuable that you can learn in school, whether that's the education that you learn from it, whether that's the structure, whether that's being responsible and timely for assignments and being in a classroom, or the connections that you make. Like, you have the networking the opportunities that you get in college from doing an internship, to which you can do, you don't need a college degree for that, but sometimes the college does open the door for that. So I think in life, that was so beneficial to me, because I got a degree, I did internships, I did marketing, I made a lot of connections in college, and that has greatly benefited me now.
Okay.
So I'm very glad that I was able to do it all. I think in the moment I was just, it was hard looking at everyone not doing the same thing. But at the end of the day, like, everyone was out partying, and I would leave the party early, and I had to work the next day, and I had a different mindset on responsibility, because I didn't have the chance to just be like, oh, well, I'm not going to work tomorrow, I'm going out and partying tonight. Okay. I think it instilled that sense of responsibility, which, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people don't have that today. Some people don't ever learn that. Right.
Well, I said, and you had the same experience that I had when I grew up. Mm-hmm. I worked at UPS night shift, and did that for 6 years. So I understand about missing out on opportunities. But again,
people have to learn that, though.
They have to understand that. I mean, life's not a party.
No.
I mean, you got bills to pay. You got to work.
And there's people that are, adults at this age, and they don't know how to sacrifice. Right. They don't want to they want to be selfish, and they don't know what it feels like to have that opportunity cost and sacrifice things in life. Yeah. And I think I'm glad that I learned that, because I don't want to be 26 years old and still doing that same thing and not knowing because I wouldn't know what success looks like, because in order to be successful, you have to sacrifice things. Mm-hmm. Entrepreneurs do this all of the time. They work crazy hours. Like, people are just like, oh, they're successful because they're rich, and like, they're just, they got lucky. But I think entrepreneurs are very successful because of the sacrifices they make.
I agree.
They go to bed early, they wake up early, they work really hard, and they sacrifice. A lot of very successful entrepreneurs don't drink, they don't party, they don't go out. They miss out on that social aspect because of what they're building. Right. And that takes sacrifice, and a lot of people haven't learned that. So I think for that itself, I think that's valuable. And there's other ways that you can learn that, like you can serve in the military, and that's sacrifice and structure. But I think the majority of the people, like, if college isn't for you, it's not for you. But I think if you are one of those people and you don't know what you want to do in life, that's a good place to start, because you're going to have all of these, besides what you're going to learn from it and the degree that you have that may open some doors or it may not, you have the structure and the networking. Okay. So it's a lot of opportunity. What is the mental maturity level that needs to be reached before marriage?
Ooh, I don't even know if I've even met that mental.
Do you think you ever hit a point where you're like, okay, now I'm ready, or do you think that it's something that you just have to decide?
I think you'll know. Well, I knew when I was ready to be married. Mm-hmm. And I hate to say this, but my friends and all know this. I always say I've known I wanted to be a father since I was in grade school. Like the day when they're like, okay, what do you want to do when you want to grow up? I want to be a dad. So,
well, you have your dream job.
I have my dream job, and I was successful. Mm-hmm. So I'm good. Now I'm retired. But no, again, it's a. I want to say if it's a feeling, or if it's a point in your life where you're ready to sacrifice for someone else. I think that's the mental maturity you're looking for. Is marriage is when you know it, when you have to support someone else and be there for them in sickness and health. I hate to say it, but that's when you're ready for that commitment. Then I think you're ready. You're ready to be married.
Yeah.
But if you're more concerned about when the guys are coming out to the next game night, or the girls are going out for the next bar hopping trip, I don't know if you're ready then.
Yeah, I think it's the sacrifice when you know you're ready to make something more important than yourself.
Yes, I agree, because once you're married, then if you're ready for if children are what you want as a married couple, that's the biggest level.
Everyone.
That's the biggest level of sacrifice that you can do, is to bring a child in this world and raise them right.
Yep. Who Oh, who does he think the perfect match for his daughter would be? And if it's different from what I personally think, discuss. Who do you think what kind of person would you like to see me with? What are some traits?
Traits. I want someone that's respectful. I want somebody that's driven. When I say driven, I mean career-wise, but also driven to treat you like the princess you need to be treated like.
Yep.
So, I mean,
I agree, and I think you set a good standard because I don't want to date no man that's not going to set up a cabinet for me or not going to do my building things.
or change a flat tire.
Or change a tire. I want a man that's going to know how to do everything that you would do for me.
No,
and
that's good.
if he won't do that, if he won't come over and set up an IKEA piece of furniture for me, then I don't want it.
If they don't check that box, they're off.
Yeah, if they're not willing to come help me unpack or move, or
Well, and I was gonna say another important trait is family, because if they don't love their mama, then how are they gonna love you?
yeah,
So, and again, there's a lot of things I want that I'll look for when you're ready to be married, but I mean, and I will say when I say driven in a career, I don't want that career to be number one.
yeah,
I want that career to be number 3. God, Peyton, career.
yep.
That's what I'm looking for.
I think that's important. I think some people get it confused. Like, I do want someone that's very motivated in their career. I want someone that's more motivated than I am because I don't want to have to push someone. I want someone to push me and vice versa.
Yeah, you want a partner.
Yes, I want someone, that it doesn't feel like, oh, like she works less, like, it has to be like we're sharpening each other. I want that, but at the same time, I also know at the end of the day what's important to me. In careers, at the end of the day, has no value. Like, unfortunately, when we die, it doesn't matter what your job title is. All of those things go.
You can't take it with you.
No, but it does provide, ability to do things. You have financial freedom. If you have a good career, if you actually love what you do and you are happy with your career, I think that changes your outlook on life.
True.
So I want someone who is driven and has a positive outlook with their career.
Positive outlook, positive self-esteem.
Someone wants to know how he can get a guy like his daughter. What is...
We just talked about that. Being who you are, being an honest version. The last thing I want from some boy that wants to date my daughter, don't pose. Don't be a poser, because we'll all see through that at some point. That's why
there's too much community. Once I date a guy, you not only meet my family, you meet my dad's friends, and they see through that too.
Oh, believe me, everyone. Everyone has an opinion. Everybody gets a vote. So my family will not hold back. Our friends do not hold back.
Nope.
So, I mean, yeah. Again, just be who you are. Again, be who you are. Don't pretend. And if you're not the best version of yourself yet, work on it.
Yep. I think this has been good advice. Hopefully some people got good dad advice, whether that's, you're becoming a father, you want to be a father, or you want to get married, or you're in marriage, or you're just working on yourself and preparing yourself for those things.
Yeah.
I think there's a little something for everybody.
Yes. And just, again, all I can say is that this advice may or may not work for you in your situation. But this is the situation that I've had to deal with for the last almost 27 years. So.
Yep. I will say the number one thing that coming from a daughter, that I think is the most important to have in a relationship, in a success, if you want to raise your daughter right and make sure that she is strong and not going to corrupt to the values of the world and what they're telling them, is to have open communication. I think when you close that door, and it's good to be assertive and be a parent, but I think at the same time you need to be a parent and have open communication, because I think the second you close that off, especially growing up, although it seems like your kid may have a lot of friends at school and everyone else to talk to, like you're the parent. Right. You don't want your daughter getting advice from another 13-year-old.
No.
Like,
no.
That doesn't sound like a good idea.
And I might have embarrassed you a few times, but it was all for good intent.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that she understood that I was there to talk to. Mm-hmm. And, I tried not to judge. Mm-hmm. I'm sure I did. But again, I just wanted to make sure, I wanted to give her my opinion, my direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, the number one thing is just open communication, being able to talk to your kid and vice versa. It will benefit you when they're young. It'll benefit your relationship when you're older. The fact that your kid feels like they can pick up the phone and tell you anything and like you're there for them, like that creates a very strong relationship. I don't think some parenting styles is just, they're my parent, I don't tell them those things. Well, you can be a parent and do both. I think there is a way to make sure that you have the authority and establish a boundary that you're the parent. Don't be overly friendly, don't act like their best friend, but also like have that strong open communication. I think you've done a great job.
Well, and you turned out good. Mm-hmm. You're a good egg.
Good. Well, I do feel like I could pick up the phone and call and tell you anything. I've never felt like, I can't. I feel like I tell you a lot of things. My day to day.
Right.
I don't hide anything from you, and I don't feel like I have to.
Well,
especially I'm an adult now, so I really don't have to. But I don't ever feel like I would have to not tell you things that are going on in my life.
Yeah, and I'll probably be the same way with you. Probably tell you more than you want to know.
Yep.
But I mean, that's to me, we have a friendship.
Yes.
Besides being a father and a daughter, we have friendship.
Yep.
And I don't mind.
My bestie.
Okay. That's what she tells everyone.
Yep.
So, but I feel that we have a good line of communication. I always want to keep it open.
Yeah, me too.
So.
Well, now I'm gonna cry. You got all. Well, hopefully this was helpful to you guys as I'm finishing off with tears in my eyes. But that's how you know it was good. I mean, we kept it together. No, we didn't cry both at the same time, so that's good.
That's surprising.
Yes, we usually do cry. But hopefully this was helpful to you guys, and thank you guys for asking questions on the community channel. And I'm sure my dad will be back. He also shoots guns, so we'll have him back for a shooting episode.
Oh, God, I'm sorry, guys, but she's going to embarrass me. I need to practice.
I'll teach him. Thank you guys for watching Girls Gone Right.